This video will be made in connectivity with a documentary called 33 Minutes. It's a great documentary about missile defense and how far we've come with it. I've always had a strong admiration for missile defense because nuclear weapons are something that we shouldn't have in my opinion, and being able to shoot them down is a good way of being safe until we can get rid of them for good.
What if free people could live secure in the knowledge that their security did not rest upon the threat of instant U.S. retaliation to deter a Soviet attack, that we could intercept and destroy strategic ballistic missiles before they reached our own soil or that of our allies? I know this is a formidable technical task, one that may not be accomplished before the end of this century. I call upon the scientific community in our country, those who gave us nuclear weapons, to turn their great talents now to the cause of mankind and world peace, to give us the means of rendering these nuclear weapons impotent and obsolete.
In my time debating on the internet, I have come across Russian and Chinese nationalists who have constantly talked about their nukes being superior. Well, I'm not buying it, and this channel on YouTube called Hedgehog has made a video criticizing missile defense that is so bad that I need to respond to it.
The reality is that intercepting a supersonic ballistic missile hurling through the sky is anything but simple, let alone foolproof. For starters, how far and how fast a missile can go varies widely.
Yes, which is why the standard missile interceptor is smaller and faster so that it can catch up to the nuke. The average anti-ballistic missile flies at 7 kilometers a second, and that's a second, not an hour.
There's short range, medium range, intermediate range, then of course, the Intercontinental Ballistic Missile, or ICBM. The system protecting the continental U.S. is called Ground-Based Mid-Course Defense.
There are more systems guarding the U.S., but go on.
It has 44 interceptors in Alaska and California, and a track record that might keep you up at night. In 18 test launches since 1999, target missiles have been hit only 10 times. What's the problem? A tough target. The systems aim to destroy ICBMs, which fly far higher and faster than lower-range missiles.
Why are you cherry-picking facts? The ground-based mid-course defenses were improved in 2013 after the budget for the Missile Defense Agency increased, and the new ground-based interceptors received heavy modifications, which also led to the creation of the 100th Missile Defense Brigade. You also forgot to mention that in May 2017 the Intercept was a surprise test and the team did not know that a missile was coming their way. And guess what? The interception was successful. You also failed to mention one specification about the ICBM. Those missiles take a long time to reach their target because they have to fly outside the atmosphere and then re-enter it, which takes a lot of time. The minimum amount needed is 20 minutes. That is a huge window for the object to be detected, have its flight trajectory uncovered, and then decide the spot for interception.
Experts say it's like trying to hit a bullet with a bullet, but a bullet traveling 20 times the speed of sound, 3 times higher than the International Space Station.
And take a look at what experts have said about missile defense.
Myth that missile defense won't work. We've heard that for many, many years, despite the evidence, despite the successes.
Time and time again, we've proven the critics wrong. Initially, they said that we would not be able to hit a bullet with a bullet. Well, we've gotten beyond being able to hit a bullet with a bullet. We now are able to hit a spot on a bullet with a bullet.
The task is further complicated by the flurry of debris released when the nuclear warhead separates from the rest of the missile in space. Differentiating the warhead from the debris in the threat cloud is difficult. Experts say even a newer nuclear power like North Korea is capable of using decoys or multiple missiles to confuse the system.
You really don't know how interception works at all. Let me start from the beginning. The flight path of an ICBM is divided into 3 stages. The first one is called the boost phase. In boost phase, an ICBM is at its most vulnerable because it is slow and is filled with fuel propellant. This is the easiest place to shoot down an ICBM. The second phase is the mid-course phase, as you have explained. Here, exoatmospheric interception takes place with a kinetic kill vehicle. This is where we can see decoys that missile defenses encounter, and they will also require a strong radar, and a big, heavy, bulky interceptor is required. The mid-course phase is the most difficult area for interception. However, this is the only correct thing you've stated. The phase that you're showing right here, incorrectly by the way, is the last phase called the terminal phase. This is where the standard warhead separates from the delivery vehicle and becomes a free-falling object. The only advantage that it has in this phase is that it is quite fast, but that is where its supremacy ends. Decoys do not work during re-entry, and some positive aspects for missile defense are that a small radar is enough to detect it, and also a small missile that doesn't have to fly at such high altitudes can intercept it.
And against advanced ICBMs from China or Russia, it wouldn't stand a chance.
You are wrong here too. You see, Russia and China do not have the budget to advance their military programs at the rate the West does. The majority of Russian equipment are just holdovers from the Soviet Union, and despite the fact that they have upgraded their ICBMs, they still lag behind the West because their military-industrial complex collapsed at the end of the Soviet Union. Also, a general of the Chinese Military Academy stated that the military gap between China and the West is 30, maybe 50 years. Speaking of the remaining nations in the West, other countries have their own missile defenses, such as the French-Italian Astra Block II missile, which is capable of exo-atmospheric interception, and the German MEADS, which is good at intercepting missiles in their terminal phase.
Some crazy maniacs to attack us, harm us, and destroy our life. They have very good allies. They have them in Europe. If we don't deploy whole missile defense projects, it would mean that we will be held like a hostage.
Let's also point out the fact that the US has 600 military bases outside its borders, while its allies have a total of 34 bases. And you still have the rest of the allied nations. Because of allied defenses being placed all over the world, such as Europe or Asia, there would be much more places to shoot down Russian or Chinese missiles, even in their boost phase, considering that the West also has more ships which can drift closer to their borders. Russia, on the other hand, has only 10 bases outside its borders, while China has only 1. The final argument is saying that missile defenses can't take on a barrage of missiles. Well, that can also be questioned because there is a place where we have seen a glimpse of it. The Israeli Defense Force has recently been equipped with the Iron Dome, a short-range missile defense system with several rockets that are easily transportable and co-developed by the US. The system was used in the most recent conflict back in 2014, and it had a success rate of over 90%, basically rendering Hamas's missiles useless. And no, Hamas does not use primitive mortars. These are legitimate missiles, mostly Qassam rockets. The number becomes even more impressive when you know that around 3,000 rockets were launched at Israel. That's not exactly a small number. Also, I have a question for these anti-Western nationalists. If Russia and China are so confident in their nukes, why are they so fearful of missile defense deployments?
It might not inspire confidence, but right now, it's the only system protecting the US.
This couldn't be further from the truth. Meet THAAD, the Terminal High Altitude Area Defense. It is considered to be one of the best missile defense systems in the world, with a 100% success rate in previous tests. It has recently been deployed to the Korean Peninsula and Guam because of Kim Jong-un's threats. If missiles actually are launched from North Korea, the THAAD, along with Aegis-class ships in the Yellow Sea and Sea of Japan, would just shoot them down in their initial boost phase before they even leave North Korean airspace. Even if it does leave domestic airspace, it still has to deal with interceptors from Japanese Aegis ships. This is the most likely scenario in case North Korea ever does try something with their nukes. And even if ground-based mid-course defenses fail to intercept the nukes, they still have to face being intercepted in their terminal phase. Here the THAAD would meet them up once again, and another type of missile defense would join in. Meet the Patriot PAC-3 missiles, which have been highly upgraded and have become a lethal force to ballistic missiles of all types in their terminal phase. Also, because of their new radars, they can tell the difference between warheads and other vehicles and can discriminate to hitting their intended target. Also, kinetic kill vehicles are not the only ones that are being used to destroy ICBMs. For example, both the US and Germany are developing lasers that will shoot down ballistic missiles with extreme heat. And it's also worth noting that the speed of light is 300,000 kilometers a second. There is absolutely no missile that can engage that. Another type of missile defense being developed by the US military is the CHAMP missiles. These are basically missiles that are used to deploy massive electromagnetic impulses that would fry the missile guidance on several ICBMs, rendering them useless, and they would just crash into the ocean or the ground. I bet you didn't think of that one, did you? Missile defense isn't a simple hit and kill. It's a sophisticated system with multiple layers.
Went higher than the others. Shot off the west coast of North Korea, flew 2,800 miles into space for a total...
Okay, what the hell is this? After your InfoWar, you just show news footage which does nothing but glorify North Korea's nuclear arsenal. Gee, I wonder who's the traitor now.
President Trump declared North Korea a state sponsor of terrorism.
The missile was fired from a...
So in general, all your arguments are cramped into this minute and a half, which suck really bad. So therefore, I'm gonna label you as epic fail. I wonder what else you'll claim in the future. But in any case, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to watch 33 minutes, I'll leave a link in the description below. And no matter what, do not support North Korea.